Hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to the live session of the Daily Decode. Today is 24th October and we'll start with the session. My name is Sanjay Kumar. I am Internal Security and Current Affairs faculty at Insights IAS. So moving towards today's important news, a lot of news are there. Obviously the one which we'll definitely talk about is the Modi-Xi meeting. We have spoken in the last 2-3 days about it. BRICS summit has been wrapped up, so we'll talk about BRICS also. Supreme Court, some statements have come on stubble burning, then cyber fraud. So these are basic important news. Indian PM, the Prime Minister Modi, President Xi welcome border pact, seek to rebuild ties. Prime Minister for financial integration among BRICS countries. So what is the major outcome of the BRICS summit specifically? What did they speak about in Kazan declaration? Important pointers. Cyber fraud losses could amount to 0.7% of GDP, that is more than 1 lakh crores. We'll talk about that. Microfinance institutions should refrain from reckless lending. So we'll talk about MFI's microfinance institution. Stubble burning statement has come from Supreme Court that it violates right to live in pollution-free environment under Article 21. Editorial, the shifting sands within global supply chains and how global supply chains have started getting, the recent pager attack has shown which Israel did against Hezbollah, that how supply chains are getting affected by the new amount of or the new traces or the new kind of technology which is coming, AI, drones, artificial intelligence, and how China and Russia are manipulating the technology and how supply chains can get affected, and what steps Americans are taking or Europeans are taking against Russians and Chinese, and most importantly, how the pager attack also for the pager attack which Israel, there's an agency called 8200, they did that attack against Hezbollah. So why it tells that how supply chains are getting compromised. And finally, we'll have question and answers and tidbits. Now, as we have seen in yesterday's session, that questions and answers now, depending upon the news, I would be adding a prelims or mains question to it. You can practice it. Prelims we will discuss in the class. Mains you can write in the answer and adds a certain bit of information. A lot of information will come from the PDF and from the news which I discussed. Rest you can add from your own research also. So moving further in this. So Modi-Xi welcome border pact seeks to rebuild. So obviously we have discussed this news in the last couple of days after the 2020 Galwan deadly clash which happened between Chinese army and Indian army, and unfortunately a lot of soldiers from both sides were lost after it happened in 2020, and more than 4 years we have finally able to come on a positive outcome. 1589 days it took, and then around 17 meetings, diplomatic meetings, 21 military meetings, and finally we have been able to come to a positive outcome out of this meeting. So on October 23rd, as we have been discussing about this BRICS summit for quite a bit time, I had said earlier also that the meeting was expected, and finally the meeting did happen. Rather a structured meeting happened between Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi, and both of them did speak about on various issues. First of all, the statements came from the Prime Minister. The meeting, initially the statements came from Xi Jinping, and Prime Minister also acknowledged that, and Prime Minister also spoke about mutual cooperation and mutual trust which should be between India and China, and most importantly the new agreement, the new resolution which is happening between India and China, he has welcomed it. So on October 23rd, 2024, Prime Minister and Chinese President Xi Jinping held their first formal bilateral meeting in 5 years, rather a structured meeting. Last meeting was in Brasilia, and before that it was in 2019 Mamlapuram. That was an informal summit. So in 2018, in 2018 you had there was a Wuhan informal summit when the Prime Minister Modi had visited China. In 2019 there was an informal summit in Mamlapuram when Chinese Premier Xi Jinping was the Chinese head was in India, in Mamlapuram. It's a coastal town, and then eventually the next meeting at Brasilia it happened. So this was the last amount of structured meeting happens. Now apart from that, a lot of meeting did happen, but those were more of informal discussions in Bali and at the G20 summit, but there was a building of consensus, but finally the consensus happened at BRICS meeting. Lot of effort has gone. We have discussed about this in last couple of lectures. So they held their first formal meetings in 5 years on the sidelines of BRICS summit in Kazan. Meeting followed an agreement announced earlier in the week for a resolution of military standoff. So military standoff at the line of actual control, which had persisted since April 2020. So again and again, I'm reiterating this same point that this is a good outcome, but again, as I discussed in yesterday's class, that when you are discussing terms with China, it's good that they are talking about positive affirmations and positive development should happen between India and China. There should be mutual trust. With China, you need to go, you need to be cautiously optimistic, because China, they in 2018 and 19 also a positive development was happening between India and China, but eventually dragon has a forked tongue and we never know what it will do with its fork. So we need to be very cautiously positive about China. We need to have wide eyes open, and I'm very sure be it Indian Army or be it the Indian government, they would be doing it. So 2020 standoff began when the Chinese People Liberation Army amassed troops at the LSA, prompting counter deployment with the Indian Army, and over a period of time, Chinese did understand that they cannot, they cannot be a bully, they cannot push around the Indian Army and the Indian government, and finally we have been able to reach at a resolution. So rebuilding relations. So the leaders emphasized importance for peace and stability on the border, and most important line which has come, back to a normal path. Okay, so back to a back to a normal path, restarting dialogue mechanism. India and China agreed to restart dialogue mechanism between foreign ministers and other officials to stabilize. Just a sec, guys. So restarting dialogue, India and China agreed to restart dialogue mechanisms over a period of time as and when development will happen. Now the restarting dialogue mechanism, this will be between National Security Advisor, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar would be there. From Chinese side, the Foreign Minister Wang Yi would be there. So the dialogue would be started. So the development which has happened in the BRICS summit, now this formal meeting which happened on the sidelines of BRICS summit, the other ministers will continue this so that more development happens, because right now we would be in the phase of disengagement, then de-escalation will happen, then de-induction will happen, and then the normalization of border will happen. I've already discussed these different stages in the last two lectures, so if you remember, you can go through that. Disengagement will happen, then disengagement will happen, then de-escalation, which goes towards the spectrum of war, and then from after de-escalation you will move to de-induction of troops, and then the normalization of the border, or where the troops will start moving away from the border, or rather a bare minimum amount of forces would be there for patrolling and other things. Okay, so foreign minister and other official to stabilize, rebuild relation which had been largely suspended since the 2020 standoff. Special representation meetings, NSA Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi to meet an early date to resolve boundary disputes. So these continuous meetings will happen, and eventually we are moving towards positive direction. Both sides, when I am seeing even from the Chinese side or even from the Indian side, both sides would be watching this very positively and very cautiously also, and specifically for an Indian point of view, yes, they would be watching too much cautiously. So these are two important statements which you can use in your answer. Let's see what Prime Minister has said. Prime Minister emphasized peace on the border should be priority, while building relation basis of mutual trust, respect and sensitivity. So mutual trust should be there, that we as Indians, we had tried trusting the Chinese in 18 and 19, but in result, through your dragon fork tongue, you gave us What we did not, we were not expecting that you gave us 2020 Galwan. So that is why Prime Minister is talking about mutual trust. Trade between India and China is still very high. China is the biggest trading partner of India. I think around more than $118 billion. So mutual trust should be there. Respect for each other's values, land, boundary should be there, and sensitivity towards each other important issues. So if China is expecting that India should not give statements on Taiwan, for example, same should be expected out of China from India. So these are the terms, these are very clear terms. The Prime Minister, when he was talking to Xi Jinping, he has clearly defined the terms. Let's come to Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping called for bilateral relations to be taken in right direction. First, right direction, emphasizing communication and cooperation. So India was always ready to communicate and cooperate. We didn't know that you will get your troops and start building your own, modifications out there and putting more troops on that and start claiming a new LAC because of DSDBO road. You started it, but you are expecting it. We will still communicate, obviously with a very cautious open eye. Communication, cooperation to handle differences and support each other's development. This is a very important point, that support each other's development. Now, External Affairs Minister recently had given statement like, if you see India and China, both are aspiring to become superpowers. Rather, China is a bit ahead in that. Both are growing economies, and very few examples in world are there when two countries sharing a big amount of border are fighting to become superpowers or big countries, and one of them is a democracy also when I speak about India. So there are very few examples and very few parallels in the world. There might be in the history, but today they are very less. So in this statement coming from Xi Jinping is very important. Support each other's development. So if India and China start from trade point of view and other point of view, start helping each other, the development can go to the next level. And about this meeting in very much geopolitical circle, it's being spoken about that Russian President Vladimir Putin was very much behind this meeting between Xi Jinping and Prime Minister and the Chinese head Xi Jinping. He was behind it. So obviously the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri has not confirmed it. He did say he is very thankful that because of the BRICS summit, it happened in Russia, in Kazan, and both the top heads of India and China were able to meet. But he has not confirmed it. But it's very well to be understood that Russian President Vladimir Putin, some action from him or his people from his government must have helped from both the sides to come, because it's very important for Russia also that it gets the backing of India and China, specifically when world is currently trying to ostracize. When I say world here means specific to Europe, West and Americans. We're trying to ostracize Russia in terms of global south, and it is very important that Russia gets the support of India and China. In that context, it's important that India and China start resolving their issues. Why China is helping, or rather why China is changing its stance and attitude, we will be covering that once we complete the first part of the news. I hope you understand. I hope you understand what I am talking in the first part of the news. Okay, so moving ahead. Hello everyone, whoever has joined. So moving further, historical context and previous meetings. Now, I've already told you the previous meetings. 18 you had at Wuhan, 19 you had at Mamallapuram, BRICS summit in Brasilia in 2019. These were the structural and formal talks. Then you had unscheduled interaction at G20 summit in Indonesia in 2022 and BRICS summit in South Africa in 2023. That is the 15th summit. The 16th summit is happening. Rather, it has got completed in Kazan, and I'll just repeat that India would be opening two important consulates. One would be in Kazan and the other would be in Yekaterinburg. And Yekaterinburg is important because the first BRICS summit happened in Yekaterinburg in 2009. So moving further in this, the agreement on border resolution. Now details about Depsang and Depsang Plains and Demchok is not out. Obviously these details will play a longer period of time, because this would be in the foreign ministry, and the foreign ministry, the counterpart towards China, or the military establishment on both sides. Over a period of time, we'll get the news regarding this. So details of the agreement, while the full text has not been released, Foreign Secretary provided some insight into patrolling arrangements, which I had discussed yesterday also, that a patrolling party will have around 14 to 15 troops, and both sides, if they are patrolling, they would tell about that. If we are patrolling, they would tell to each other in advance that this is the area we would be patrolling, from Indian side and Chinese side. This I had discussed with you in yesterday's lecture also. Moving further, activating bilateral mechanism. Now dialogue mechanism will start. This is what was the major problem from 2020 to 2024. The dialogue was not happening. Yes, in the context of resolving the issue, dialogue was happening, but building on the relationship was not happening, because India was very clear, unless you do not resolve the Galwan or the border issue, we cannot do trade. We have a lot of problems. Yes, we were doing trade, but building up a relationship is not possible. So once the border issue can be resolved, then both the countries were game for it, that we would try to work on building up the relationship, which India did in 2018 and 2019 they did, but everybody knows what happened in Galwan. Then we had removed TikTok and so many apps, banned so many apps, and the relationship between India and China had gone through the, had gone down the slide. So from that 2020 to 2024, we have definitely come a long way, and we also realize the importance of each other. So next steps would be, if successful, the process would involve disengagement, de-escalation, de-induction, and eventually a normalization of the borders and reduction of troops. Okay, so role of Russia in the agreement, I've already told you what is the role of Russia in the agreement. Now future engagement, high-level meeting, Ajit Doval, Wang Yi, External Affairs Minister, they would be meeting, and they will continue the efforts. Now Shanghai Cooperation meeting, which would happen in 2025, China is presiding it, China is leading it, and India has given its commitment and said that they will be fully cooperating with China, as China would be presiding it, as this time, like Russia was presiding the BRICS, similarly China would be doing it. So, and the Prime Minister would be participating in SCO Heads of State Summit, in SCO Summit 2025. Like the 2024 summit happened in Pakistan, it happened in Islamabad, Pakistan, but we all know the Prime Minister did not visit, but Prime Minister, I can take for almost 100% until unless some really bad thing happens between India and Russia, India and China, the Prime Minister would attend it and take the relationship between India and China even further. The support for China's SCO presidency, Modi assured India full support to China's presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO meet next year. In the Pakistan Islamabad, he did not participate, rather External Affairs Minister had gone. So that was the importance which was given to the SCO summit in terms of it was happening in Islamabad, and yes, we needed a very important leader, but the Prime Minister did not go because the relationship between India and Pakistan, we all know where it is going. Remaining issues and challenges, winter troop deployment and Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, that Indian troops will still be deployed for one more winter towards the Galwan and other areas. And when will the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, taking the route from the Chinese side, when will it start? There are still not any confirmed answers or confirmed comments by the Foreign Secretary. As and when come, we would be covering that. Now the next question is, why is China changing? So this was the news. This was more of a follow-up news what happened in the Modi and Xi Jinping meeting. Now coming to the major part. This was not in the Hindu newspaper. Rather, this is through various other newspapers and headlines and news which I have covered for you, which will give you a context why China is changing. This is what you need to understand. It's not like magic that China has changed. So China, the biggest problem is that, which I have discussed in a couple of days back also, China is in an economic turbulent process right now. Their domestic economy or their domestic demand has come down. International Monetary Fund has said that the targets which they should achieve for 2024 or 2025, they would not be able to achieve it. Rather, if you see what as IMF has said, IMF has lowered China's growth forecast to 4.8% for 2024 and 4.5% for 2025, down from 5.2% in 2023. So the economic instability in China is increasing, And one interesting fact which is coming out, that there is a rise of 18% more protests which are happening in China. So economic instability and 18% increase in protest in August. So number of protests are increasing, and that is why it is questioning the economic policies of Xi Jinping, his government, his party, and eventually if this keep on increasing, he will definitely become unpopular. So that is why it is important that he starts establishing or start making better decision with neighbors and resolving the disputes. Why it would be needed, I'll come to that part. This is an advice to Justin Trudeau also, that when you want to increase your voting numbers or voting percentage, it is not a good idea that you start fighting, with a country like India, which is a democracy like you, and you thought that, you'll put statements now. Among the Trudeau government, only many members from his own party are asking for his own resignation, that you do not fight the next election, fight for the next election as a prime ministerial candidate. So even Trudeau tried to do the same stunt, but it's not working for him. So anyways, moving further into this, so protests mainly focus on stalled housing. Now what has happened is that, so it is a kind of understanding in China between the Communist Party of China and people of China, that Communist Party of China says we will not give you any political freedom, but we will give you economic prosperity. So this is a kind of deal, we'll give you economic prosperity, but don't think about political freedom. And obviously there is no political freedom in China. If you have been reading about China, everything from, what you say about the government, everything, even if you want to take a loan, it depends what you say for the government, what you think, what you've said in the past. So they say that we'll give you economic prosperity, but don't think about any political rights. If you go in China, Jack Ma gave statements again, questioned the economic policies of Xi Jinping and his government. He was, for around 6-8 months, nobody knew where is Jack Ma. So this is a process. If any person in China says anything which is anti-government in China for 6, 8 or 10 months, nobody knows where is he, how much ever he is powerful. So in this context, coming to this, so the Communist Party of China and the Chinese citizens have a kind of understanding, okay, we will not give you political rights, but we will give you economic prosperity. So this was the deal which was working out, but eventually what has happened, they don't have political rights. Now that economic prosperity they were giving, that is also coming down. There is no economic prosperity. The targets of 5%, 5.2%, those are also coming down. The real estate boom which was used to be in China, that has also gone down the drain. That is also, the domestic demand has come down, and whatever economic stimulus the Chinese government is trying to provide, or Chinese financial policies which are coming to revive the economy in China, that is also not working out, and hence that 18% more protests have started happening in China. Okay. Now moving further into this, Beijing stimulus efforts and failures. Everyone who has ever, many students have joined the lecture. First of all, good evening to everyone. Hope everyone is doing very well. If you have a question, do put in the comment section, and just tell me what do you think that the meeting which has happened between Modi and Xi Jinping, between India and China, can we trust China or not? So if you think yes, we can trust China, why do you think we can trust China? If you think no, we cannot trust China, why do you think we cannot trust China? What is your answer? Please write in the comment section, and then we can have a discussion also on that. Okay. And also let me know how are you finding these lectures, and because we are covering a lot of other things. A comment had come to me, sir, please cover the economics part. So I've started covering economics also. So as and when the important news are coming from that section. So like yesterday we were covering the IMF also. So Beijing stimulus effort and failures, this is also not working. They tried stimulus, they started even giving cash to people that you start going and spending, even that is not working. Now challenges abroad for Xi Jinping. First is trade wars. So trade wars, so China is already having trade wars with the Americans and Europeans. Europeans, if you talk about Brussels and European Union, they have already put a lot of about excise duty on the Chinese electric vehicles, that Chinese are dumping their electric vehicles in Europe and making a lot of money, and their own electric EV companies are not able to sell their cars because they are more expensive. So trade wars have started in electric vehicles. This is a problem, America, and if a Trump presidency comes, then it would be even more tougher for China to survive in the Americans. Plus, there has been restriction on the Chinese access to semiconductor. This has been done by the Americans because they say that allegedly some drones have been supplied by Chinese side to the Russian side in the ongoing Russian-Ukraine war. So these restrictions have been put tensions over Taiwan. If you've been following Taiwan, the Chinese are doing a lot of drills, and for China, India, Taiwan is much more important than India for them, and even for the local public or the citizens of China. So for example, Taiwan, they have a policy called One China policy. So One China policy means that there is only one People's Republic of China under CCP, Communist Party, or Chinese Communist Party, who is being headed by Xi Jinping, and Xi Jinping is the president of China. So this One China policy is this mainland China or the PRC, this plus the Taiwan. Taiwan is also known as Republic of China. This is one only. So Taiwanese might be saying that they are separate, they are a separate country, but Xi Jinping, his party and PRC does not believe. They said that this China and Taiwan are one China, they come under One China policy. So they want to concentrate more on Taiwan, because Taiwan is getting support from Americans and Canadians also in terms of warships and everything. So the focus is towards Taiwan. They want to resolve the issue of Taiwan. They want to resolve the issue of the economic fallback which is happening in their country. So once they are able to, thank you Khushbu, thank you very much. So once they are able to resolve these issues, specifically the economic turbulence and economic turmoil which is happening in China, once they are able to resolve the Taiwan issue, then they probably would think about India, and that is why they are trying to resolve the issue with India, and not only India, they are trying to resolve the issue with Japan also, UK also. The Foreign Minister Wang Yi have recently spoken to the Japanese also. Now, if you remember, there is a group called Quad, Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, which has India, Japan, US and Australia. Now, Japan has been continuously, rather Japan was the one which came in 2007. At that time, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe had given the idea of Quad, but it did not got fruitful, and eventually Quad was created in 2017. We had covered this also in the early news. So now Japan, they are also trying to revive, their terms with Japanese also in positive terms. Now there's a strategy of Deng Xiaoping. We'll come to that, why Chinese might be following Deng Xiaoping. So Xi Jinping recently went to Fujiana. Fujiana is an island near, it's an island near the Taiwan. And in this island, he has told his troops that you need to be battle ready, battle hardened, give yourself more training, that we might need to go on a war with Taiwan. So if your focus is reviving your own economy, your domestic demand, and your falling real estate in China and fighting a war in Taiwan, if your focus is on this side, you will definitely want that the relationship with India and other partners becomes good. So this might be one of the other reasons also. Now next, scaling back global ambition, the focus on Belt and Road initiatives and huge amount of spending which was happening on BRI has also been stopped. Recently when African leaders were in China, so China, rather than the Xi Jinping has said, my focus now is small and beautiful projects rather than big projects, and many of the African leaders, they were, they used to get mesmerized when China used to talk about 100 and 200 billion dollars, but this time it was only around 51 billion dollars of investment. So because China knows that they have deep pockets, but that deep pocket, the amount of money which used to come in deep pockets from manufacturing, other sectors, that is getting dried up, and that is why the focus is towards resolving the economic issues which are prevailing in China. And hence the focus on BRI has come down, focus is on Taiwan and the local economic factors, the citizens of China, the 18% protest increasing, plus the economic prosperity which Chinese government, in a promise gives to its citizen, not able to give that. So that is why repair ties with Japan and UK is also happening. So there's a famous statement of Deng Xiaoping. He was the leader around 1780s and who actually took to China what today China, rather the China which Xi Jinping got, which is economically prosperous. This was the person who did the groundwork and on what today China stands. So he said, hide your strength and bide your time. That you hide your strength, bide your time, become a bigger leader, and then you have dragon tongue with a fork, then you start biting each other. So probably the Xi Jinping is following Deng Xiaoping. He is he's trying to bide his time. Once his time will come, he probably again do Galvan or something else, because today his economy and his terms are not as per what he requires. This might be the case, but only time will tell us. Ajay Kumar Yadav, Jai Hind everyone. So this contrasts with Xi's previous wolf warrior diplomacy, which did not work, which had a lot of backlash, so probably he might be following Dan Xiaoping. So with this, we complete the first news, and this is a prelims question. The recent standoff at the line of actual control began in April 2020, correct? BRICS summit was held in Kazan, Russia. Line of actual control demarcates boundary between India and Pakistan. No, LAC is between India and China. India and Pakistan has IB, then they have LOC, and then towards the Siachen side also you have it. So three boundaries we have with third one is AGPL, actual ground position line, AGPL towards Siachen, then you have line of control, and then you have IB with Pakistan. So then I've given you a mains questions also. This is border disputes and military standoff between neighboring countries can significantly affect bilateral relations and regional stability. In the context of India-China border issue, discuss the impact of recent LAC agreement on bilateral relation and future prospects for regional peace. You can take some statements from the, or some data from the news, rest you can add. Let's move to next news. BRICS should strengthen financial integration. A wonderful, things have come out of the BRICS meeting. So in Kazan declaration, they have spoken about Gaza Strip, they have spoken about Lebanon attacks, pager attacks, and they've also blamed Israel for many of these attacks. And as you know that many of, West Asian countries are also part of this. Hello everyone. Many of the West Asian countries are also part of this. So in that context also the statements against Israel was expected, and most importantly out of BRICS summit something related to trade in local currency has come. Trade in local currency, avoiding or giving alternative to dollars. And obviously why this is important, because Russia has been put under major sanctions. Since Russia has been put under major sanction, it just makes sense that need to create an alternative system of payment. So focus is also on alternative payment system. The Prime Minister has also pitched UPI, that UPI has been successful in India. Many other BRICS countries can accept, and rather they can take the help of India to accept and to implement UPI in the country. So summit, this was the first summit when the new members were added. This was the first summit. As new members being added, they were able to participate. Egypt, United Arab Emirates, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia and Iran. And with this addition of these 5 members, total strength of BRICS has gone to 10 members now. Okay, so Prime Minister address. So 3 important pointers which he spoke about was greater financial integration among BRICS countries. Very important, financial integration. Second, advocating of trade in local currencies. This is the one I am talking about. And he also has pitched the idea of UPI. Then smooth cross-border payments to strengthen economic cooperation. For this cross-border payments only, he has also given the idea, pitched the idea of UPI also between India or outside, whatever way the countries want to expand and want to include it. So these are 3 areas: greater financial integration among BRICS countries, advocating for trade in local currencies, smooth cross-border payment to strengthen economic cooperation. Very important pointers, very important things which has been said by Prime Minister Modi. Okay, now just in addition to this, moving further into this, unified payment again. Now unified payment, if you see, that is the part of the third one. Smooth cross-border payment to strengthen economic cooperation, advocating for trade in local currencies. So if you don't need the dollar, many like India and Russia also does this. So then you can trade in the local currencies, and this way you will not need the dollar. Specifically for China and Russia, and specifically for Russia and other countries where lot of American on the Western sanctions are there and they have paucity of dollar, they can use this system for trades, and eventually this will lead to more cohesiveness among the BRICS member also. Okay, so unified payment interface highlighted the success of UPI and urged more BRICS members to embrace local payment mechanism. This is the idea. Move away from the US dollar. The proposal to trade in local currencies as a response to Western sanction against Russia following military campaign in Ukraine. I think I've already covered this. What I'm just talking to you, that is exactly on the slide. So I've already covered it. So let's move further into this. So obviously they are trying to checkmate, or they are trying to not totally erode. They are trying to see, when BRICS was being made, BRICS was an alternative system. It was not made. The Prime Minister Modi and the previous Prime Ministers again and again they have said, and the Prime Minister has said, that it is not an anti-Western bloc. It is a group which focuses on global South. It is a group which wants to reform. It is a group which is an alternative. You know, many countries which are not able to get into these Western dominated groups, they are not able to utilize. It's something like, if I say, I'll give you a small example. Now, there are a lot of people in agriculture who cannot go to the big banks and get funds from there. Okay, they cannot get loans. So similarly, microfinance institutions were created. Okay, so Muhammad Yunus, who came with his Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, is very famous regarding it. Rather, he got a Nobel Prize for it. So many people who could not afford, who did not have the papers, they could not go to that bank. So obviously, I'm not comparing BRICS to an MFI. I'm just trying to make a small example. Now, we also created this group. This group came, the first formal structured meeting or the summit happened in 2009. That it happened in Yekaterinburg. That was BRIC. Then it happened in 2010. South Africa joined. It becomes BRIC. So not comparing it to MFI. I'm just saying that it was an alternative system. Similarly, this alternative system came in 2009. From 2009 to 2024, today the BRICS importance is very high. Many summit in the past has happened, but the importance of this Kazan summit is very high in terms, first of all, Modi and Xi Jinping met. Second, it was being presided, or it was being headed by Russia. Lot of countries came, and many of those countries which are tired of the dominance of the Western and the American system. So in this context, alternative to the dominance of US dollar, that is why local currencies. Okay, so BRICS cross-border payment initiative, this again the third pointer which was said by Prime Minister Modi, this is what it's about. BRICS leaders recognize widespread benefit of using local currencies in the financial transaction, and you will see that after the summit, the transaction between local currencies will increase. India has done this with a lot of countries, but obviously this will help. So BRICS cross-border payment initiative was discussed as a voluntary and non-binding initiative. Please read, these two words are very important. It is voluntary and it is non-binding. So it is not forceful. It, as per the declaration agreement, like it is not binding that every person who is in BRICS, they have to do trade under the BRICS cross-border payment initiative. So in the local currency too, it is voluntary. Like if the countries want to do it, they're happy, they're independent, they can take the system and do it, and it is non-binding. So voluntary and non-binding to strengthen correspondent banking networks and enable settlements in local currencies. So please remember this. This is also one of the important initiative which came out, BCCBI, which is BRICS cross-border payment initiative. BRICS cross-border payment initiative. Prime Minister has said, we are here to reform, but not replace. We are not replacing the Western dominated systems, be it G7, G8 or other organization. We are there to reform. What those organizations could not achieve, what those organizations could not handle, on many countries which could not join, they can join the BRICS, and that is why India has welcomed the expansion of BRICS also. So reform, not replace. Prime Minister emphasized that BRICS is becoming more assertive in addressing the global issues, because the countries in BRICS, like when you talk about G7, G8, many of them are already very developed countries, okay, rather they are developed countries. So they might not be understanding the problem of many developing countries, because they've already past that phase, and many of these countries were actually, if you see the First World War and Second World War, many of these countries were actually who were imperialistic in nature, and many countries who are part of BRICS were those nations which were colonized. So if you see that Western countries, many of them were actually colonizer, and many of the countries in BRICS, exceptions are there, some of them were those countries which got colonized, including India, China and many other countries, if you see Southeast Asia and other parts. So in that context also, our development had started late, and that is why we are able to understand the pain of many other countries. So that is why BRICS is becoming important day after day. Okay. So moving, so Kazan Declaration, now when it came to Kazan Declaration, very harsh statements have come against Israel, specifically the attack it has done on Gaza. The attack which has been done on Gaza, on the ongoing Ukraine war, the ceasefire is needed, resolution is needed, the pager attack which was done by Israel, which was against the humanitarian law. So a lot of statements have also been part of the Kazan declaration. So they including the conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine, and advocating a more responsible international financial architecture. So international financial architecture in terms of that the global hegemony and global dominance of West and dollar there should be an alternative to it. Okay. So Kazan declaration attributed unprecedented escalation in the Gaza Strip to Israel military offensive. So this has come as part of the Kazan declaration. An immediate, comprehensive and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. So I think the recent statement which is coming from from Israel is that the body of Yahya Sinwar would only be given to the Hamas if they are able to, if they would be releasing the hostages. And once they release the hostages, then there can be a ceasefire between the Israel and Hamas. So this is the latest round of talks. Let's see what eventually comes out. But what I see is that Israel and this Hamas war, it is now in the next couple of months, it is moving towards an end, and finally we'll have resolution and peaceful resolution regarding. And similarly, Russia-Ukraine war is a lot dependent upon US presidency. If Trump comes in presidency, and Trump has again and again said that Zelensky, the Ukraine president, is the biggest salesman. He comes to America, gives his pitch and takes billions of dollars, and he is not in favor of continuing this Russia-Ukraine war. So if Trump wins the election, the resolution between, or the ceasefire between, or solution between Russia and Ukraine will come very fast. If Kamala Harris comes to the power, so the Democrats have always been in the favor of giving money, be it Biden or Kamala Harris. So I think if Kamala Harris comes, the war might continue for a longer period of time. This is again as per today's geopolitics. If something changes in future, we'll get to know about it. So unconditional release of all hostages and detainees from both the sides, from Israel and Hamas. Unhindered humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip should be given. So certain buses and food and aid has started from the Israel side now. So declaration blamed Israel for attacks. BRICS expressed unwavering support for two-state solution. Now what is a two-state solution? Again and again in various international commentary you will hear this word two-state solution. Two-state solution means one Jewish state for Israel and the other state for Palestinians. India also supports the two-state solution. The Kazan declaration also talks about two-state solution. To one would be Jewish state, Israel already has that, and one would be for Palestinian. So if Palestinians gets it, this would be the two-state solution. Okay. Situation in Lebanon, again that the amount of raids, the air raids which Israel is doing, the declaration, the Kazan declaration condemns it, and specifically the attack on the civilian area. Israel obviously has a different point that whatever area you call civilian, in these civilian buildings only, for example, if there are 6 floors, so for example, if there are for example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what Hezbollah does is that it will take the 3rd floor and a basement around, and it will start making its weapons, bunkers and everything, and 3rd floor also. And 1st and 2nd and 4th and 5th civilians would be staying there. Now this is the problem which Israel had to fight, because they would be attacking from 3rd and the basement. So Israel, so they keep on telling, they have given a lot of statements earlier also that please leave these buildings, we would be attacking. So this is what Israel says, that if there are Hezbollah people, we would be attacking the building. So civilian would be collateral damage and casualties. Either civilians leave this building, or either you would be, you would be caught in this crossfire or in this bombardment and you will be decimated. So this is exactly the problem. So I think over a period of time, Israel has been able to achieve most of its target. Anthony Blinken was in Israel recently, and he has told Benjamin Netanyahu that the major targets of Ismail Haniya, Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, Nasrallah and Soleimani, most of the leaders have been killed. If we get back the hostages, then we need to do a ceasefire and find a peaceful resolution. Let's see how much that time takes. So addressing the Ukraine conflict, again in Ukraine war, international cooperation, but not a strong statement came in Kazan against Russia. Obviously that was very difficult because Russia was hosting it, but in Israel case it did come out, but they are talking about international cooperation and peaceful resolution to Ukraine also. New member inclusion and implication, BRICS expansion and increased influence aiming for more inclusive representation. Now this is the major problem with Western dominated blocks and groups, that there is, you can just take, for example, you just take United Nations. United Nations, you have 5 members, the 5 permanent members of United Nations, you know, the Security Council, you have America, you have Russia, you've got China, France and UK. Now this is a 1945 member, you know, as per 1940, the globe has moved on, you know, the things have moved on. There is no representation from Africa. You only have one Chinese representation. Today things have changed. Like, you need to understand the importance of India. That is why the United Nations and major groups which are dominated by the Western countries in America, they need to reform. Since they don't reform, and that is why countries are joining BRICS, Shanghai Cooperation Organization and others. And even Pakistan is trying to join BRICS, but I think India will, you know, India will try to make sure that Pakistan does not join it. Okay. So a question, the summit underscored the importance of G20 in global decision making. Yes, this also came out. The BRICS cross-border payment initiative is a mandatory. No, it is not a mandatory. I told you it is voluntarily. It is a voluntary and non-binding. Kazan declaration supported UN membership for Palestine. Yes, they did support. It is in the PDF also. That is why they are talking about the two-state solution also. Okay. So moving further into this, and then a question is there for mains, you can go through it. Now next, Israel plan leaked. So this was in news I also wanted to cover. So this was a Israel plan to Iran attack, and this has been I beg your pardon. So this was the plan, this is in the news I wanted to cover. It was not an Hindu, but I still, as I've told you, that many other news which does not come in the newspaper I would be covering. So this was a Israel plan, and this was leaked by US Pentagon. Now, as per many geopolitical experts, this plan talks about, you know, basically talks about Israel Air Force air launch ballistic missile and how they would be attacking Iran. So as per my knowledge and understanding, this was a deliberate step being taken, and this was told to Iran that if you don't, you know, if you don't change your ways, you can be attacked. If we can attack Hezbollah, Hamas. So this seems to be deliberate, because this is not the first time Americans have leaked their, you know, plans. And you know, when a military plan is made, there are 20, 25, 30 plans. So this plan has been leaked, it has been circulating. So probably the Americans want to Iran to know that this is the capability. And second things, if Iran believes that these are the areas to be targeted, Israel can change and target somewhere else. So this is like, you know, good military geopolitics, which I can say. Now moving to the next news, cyber fraud losses could amount 0.7% of GDP projects ministry study. So there is a organization called I4C, which stands for Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, which falls under the Union Ministry of Home Affairs, and it said that the cyber fraud losses, which amounts to 0.7% of Indian GDP, is almost equal to 1.2 lakh. 1.2 lakh crore. So these are cyber frauds, and this is almost equivalent to 0.7% of our GDP. So according to Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, Union, under the MHA, cyber fraud losses could potentially amount to 1.2 lakh crore. Again, not a great news. Cyber frauds in the country are increasing. If you see Instagram and YouTube reels and videos, every day a new video pops up that this is a new scam, this is a OTP scam, this is a link scam, this is a scamster. Multiple videos are there on YouTube that, you know, which shows that how these fake call centers have been set up, or these scamsters are there who are ready to do scams, OTP scam, multiple everyday new scam. You will get a phone that your SBI, you know, your password has been changed, or you will get a phone call that a person would be saying from the other side website that there were certain on your name certain goods were coming from ABCD place. It has got stuck at the customs in airport, and in those goods there are drugs, and you will get a call from police station. Now you have started also getting fake video calls using deep fakes, or you will start getting actually a video call and the person would be in police uniform. All this would be fake, and he said that until unless you transfer 30,000, 50,000 to me, otherwise this material would be taken to police and you will be put in custody. All these things are going on. Then also there is one more scam which is going on. You will get a call. So this I saw, it was happening a lot in North. You will get a call and to your father or mother, and a police inspector would be talking. For example, if it is Delhi, they would probably use the Delhi accent, or rather a Haryanvi accent or a UP accent. So because in Delhi, if you see, a lot of people from Haryana, UP, belt join the Delhi police. So they'll talk in that particular accent and they'll say, your boy or girl has done this XYZ amount of crime, get this money and straight away transfer, otherwise I put this particular FIR, etc., etc. And you might start feeling scared what will happen, and you might transfer some money. So all these scams are going on, multiple different type of scams, but they are all, the common thing among them which they are using is cyber. Cyber is one of the common things which they uses, and in this context, if you see, 1.2 lakh crore is the potential fallout of it. So from January to June 2024, 11,269 crore as per the data from MHA Cyber Crime Portal and 1930 helpline. So there are also mule bank accounts. So what is a mule bank account? So mule bank accounts these are illegal bank accounts which are used for money laundering. So for example, certain times your account would be used, so the owner might know or might not know. So these accounts are used for for sending across a lot of illegal money. So money will come into this account for around 2-3 hours and then it will dissipate. So or rather it will go. So this account, probably it would be lying in some ABCD bank, and actual worth of this account in the terms that there is no particular salary coming into this account. This is almost a dead account, but this is only being used to transfer money. These are called mule accounts or dead accounts, and they are used for money laundering and for all illegitimate means. So mule bank accounts, these are used to facilitate illegal transactions. So mule account refers to a bank account that is used to facilitate illegal activities such as money laundering and fraudulent transaction with or without the complacency of the account holders. Okay. So I hope you've understood till here. Okay. So this is money laundering. So what is money laundering? So this is illegal money. You've got this illegal money through organized crime, drugs, arms selling, prostitution, human trafficking, women trafficking. Now you've got this illegal money. Now from this illegal money, you want to create legal money. The process through which this illegal money becomes legal money, and this scamster or this organized crime or the criminal can use the legal money in the system. This process through which illegal money becomes legal money, this is what we call money laundering. So money laundering is a big chapter. I'm just trying to give you a certain background to it. So from illegal money to legal money, the creation, the process which is done, that is called money laundering. Money laundering at various process, mule accounts is one of them, and basically it uses a strategy called PLI, placement, layering and integration. Placement is putting this money into a financial system, then it will, through transferring the money to hide the origin of funds from actually where these funds came or the illegal resources, the money would be moved through through hundreds and thousands of accounts in various banks. These people have people in banks. These banks would be from Cyprus or some XYZ, or these banks by themselves would be illegal, or there are people who are sitting in these banks associated with these drug peddlers or organized crime people. And finally, it will become white money, returning the money for the money launderer to spend or the criminal to spend. So this process of illegal money becoming legal money through the process is called money laundering, in which you will never know from what was the illegal source of this money. This is what we call money laundering. And mule accounts, hawala system, cryptocurrency, these or shell company, these are certain methods through which money laundering is done. Okay, so international linkages. Now, when this report has come out, the country they are saying from where these major scams are happening or the cyber crimes are happening is Cambodia, Myanmar and China. Cambodia, Myanmar and China. A lot of things are happening in India also, but these are the major countries: China, Cambodia, Myanmar. And if you see this Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, even it's happening from Laos. This is the same area of GA also. Okay, this is the same area of GA also. That is Golden Triangle. So if you see India, okay, so on this side you have Golden Triangle and this side you have Golden Crescent. So this is again both. India is sandwiched between these both drug production and drug transition areas. Okay, so that's again, we have already got neighbors like China and Pakistan. You have also got Golden Triangle and Golden Crescent. So Golden Crescent is Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Okay, so domestic involvement, some scams are domestically operated where money is withdrawn from ATMs. So the report has also identified some ATMs from which this money is withdrawn. For example, I told you placement clearing integration and placement PLI integration, finally you take out the money. These are certain ATMs. So the money moves through various accounts and finally the fraudulent person withdraws from this ATMs. And there are around 18 ATMs across various countries also. For example, from the ATMs in Dubai, Hong Kong, Bangkok and Russia using mule accounts, 18 ATM hotspots in India where fraudulent withdrawals are common. So these ATMs are also part of this process. Volume, is my volume fine? Let me check it. It's okay. So moving further into this, so these are again, so Carl Rock is there. If you go, you can follow him on YouTube also. He comes up with a lot of these videos where he show all these scamsters and who open these fake call centers and do these crimes. And he has been he helps the local police also to catch these scamsters. So fake call center in Gurgaon busted. We went inside a scam call center. So these are primarily, these scam compounds are there. These scam compounds look like call centers only, but rather than doing call center work, they are, they call people, or rather if a person's computer has gone down, they'll call, they say put this money, or they'll try to take access of his computer system from team viewer and then take his financial details, etc. And then once they have the financial details, they'll empty his account. So they often resemble call centers and target individuals with various investment scams. So this is there. So impact and potential threat, terror financing, obviously this money which has been able to come, this is used in terror financing and money laundering. Again, the money laundering, the money which is generated, so it's like a vicious circle. Once the organized crime is able to generate, for example, initially if they were generating 100, now they are generating 200, then they would be generating, it's like a company, organized crime. There's a word called organized. So it works like a company and it will keep on doing it. If the organized crime increases in the society, it will lead to dilapidation of society and the economic institutions. Okay. So from March to May 24, around 5.5 crore worth of cryptocurrency. Now cryptocurrency is again, it is also known as new Hawala, and the 2015 Paris attack also, the money which was used for 2015 Paris attack again was cryptocurrency. So I've added those details, you can read that later on. Okay, so government response, so government is talking about that we need to restrict these mule accounts, banks' role, and they have told the banks that all these accounts, whenever you see all these accounts in which there were no funds or there was no activity, suddenly if so much of activity is happening, or if there are multiple login which is happening in these accounts, please stop these accounts and please get to do KYC, know your customers. Okay, so this is what the government has come up with. It is talking about top system updates, monitoring transaction patterns specifically to these frequency of transaction, or if there are multiple logins which are happening. Okay, then there is Citizen Financial Cyber Fraud Reporting and Management System. This is 1930 helpline which you can use to report specifically related to identifying scam patterns and monitoring ATM fraud hotspots. So global cyber fraud, international scam operation, Cambodia, Myanmar, China. Again, this is the same call center which is happening. Scamsters often operate from scam compounds, call center like setups, using Indian mobile phone numbers, so that you will feel that, you know, that the call which is coming from India, if they are targeting specifically India. So finally, we have a question on this. Mule accounts are significant contributors to online financial scams. Yes. Most cybercrime complaints in India are linked to scams originating within the country. No, they are a lot from outside. I4C operates under the Union Home Ministry. So 1 and 3 are correct. Yes, second is wrong. And then there is a question for mains, which you can, I've already explained you the news. You can go through it and write your answer. Let's go towards the next news. Microfinance institutions should refrain from doing reckless lending. This is coming from Financial Service Secretary M. Nag. So the Financial Secretary has said that this reckless loan giving or reckless money being given to microfinance institutions should be stopped. This is not good, and it will only lead to dilapidation of microfinance institutions or MFIs. This needs to be, there has to be a proper underwriting. Underwriting in terms of loan means that the person, when you are giving a loan to a person, you need to check his documents and you need to check his capability, that will he be able to give back that loan and interest. If he is not even able to pay the interest of the loan, then why are you giving him money? It is something like that China was paying Pakistan billions of dollars. Today Pakistan does not even have the capability to give his loans back, the interest on the loans back. Though obviously China had different intentions regarding Gwadar and BRI. But again, what is microfinance? In the start of the lecture, I also have told you, when it comes to microfinance, finance, a word is there between. So if this is finance, what is the previous word? Micro. That means small amount of money. So Muhammad Yunus, who is currently, you know, the advisor or heading, I can say, about Bangladesh. So Muhammad Yunus was associated with microfinance. He started Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. Rather, what was the system? So there were a lot of people in Bangladesh who wanted money for small things, small project or agriculture, but they did not have proper documents. So he started giving them by 50 rupees, 100 rupees, 200 rupees, small amount of money. So microfinance is for those people who cannot go to standard banks and get proper loans. So that is why these microfinance institutions have come up, which basically allows financial services model that provides small loans, smaller amount of loans, saving accounts, insurance and other financial services to individual and small businesses that are not able to access traditional banking. They are not able to access traditional banking. Okay. Hi Srinivas Kumar. Hi. Okay. So not able to access the traditional banking. Since they are not able to access traditional banking, that is why MFI has come, and that is how Muhammad Yunus is also. Rather, if in some areas he's also said that he is the person behind microfinance. So goal of microfinance is to help people become self-sufficient and improve financial well-being. Rather, Muhammad Yunus was also given Nobel Peace Prize for this Grameen Bank and MFIs. Okay. So again, now coming to the news, now the secretary is saying, the finance secretary is saying, Financial Service Secretary M. Nagaraju addressed the issue responsible for lending practice by microfinance institution. He emphasized that while FMFI plays significant role in financial inclusion, they must avoid these reckless lending practices, because if you keep doing this will deteriorate the MFIs. Only the debt would be increasing. I'll come to the numbers on debt. If you see the number of debt, so the number of debt or the loan which has MFI is given over a period of time, how would they recover? That would be something only MFI institutions can tell. So because the problem which is coming is that the proper underwriting is not being done. What is underwriting? For example, if I go to SBI Bank, I go to HDFC. So what they'll say, they'll ask me for my KYC forms, they'll ask me for my last 6 months salary slips and plethora of documents, if what is my CIBIL score and everything, and on the basis of that they will provide me a loan. Similarly, for microfinance institution also, you need some basic documents, in the sense that if they are giving you a loan, at least you should have the capability to return it back. If you don't have the capability to return it back, you're only piling up on bad debts or bad debt loans. So risking of poor underwriting norms leading to self-help groups and joint liability groups. without proper underwriting could jeopardize sector by affecting borrowers' repayment capacity, and he would definitely not be able to repay it, and only the MFI, the relation, and it will only increase the burden on the borrower. Okay. Naveen Prince, hi sir, super explanation. Thank you Naveen, thank you very, very much. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Only request I will have is that please do share this video with all your friends who are looking for current affair analysis, and if there are certain areas you want me to add, I will be adding. Rather, this session I've almost added everything in it, but if there is some other thing which you want me to include, I will definitely add. Please do like and share the session, and once the session is over, please do put your lovely comments there. That is what we need at the end of the day, and please do share with all your friends who need detailed UPSC sessions. Now coming back to this, what underwriters means, I've already discussed. This is just an explanation to that. Impact of borrowers and MFIs, reckless, again, reckless lending practice could negatively impact the borrower's ability to repay, which in turn would MFI sustainability, obviously. So if the people are not giving you back the money, if they don't have the capability to pay back, and you are still giving, this will only increase in what? Bad debt. Okay. And it will only create, it will eventually what? It gets converted into NPS, non-performing assets. Then you will create one more agency or one more group or one more committee how to get those NPS, though government has already done. But why are you actually doing it? I'll just give you some numbers. So let's go to the numbers. Okay. Now, self-help groups bank linkages program. There are over 77 lakh self-help groups under the program with an outstanding loan of 2.6 lakh crore. 2.6 lakh crore. Then role of joining liability groups. JLGs also play a significant role in financial inclusion. They have 4.4 lakh crore in outstanding loans. So if you combine these two numbers, you have 7 lakh crore. 7 lakh crore of pending loans. You mean to, this money has to come back. 7 lakh crore. Okay. So this is a huge number. So 7 lakh crore. So JLGs also play a significant role in financial inclusion with 4.54 lakh crore in outstanding loans, and this 2.6. So 2.6 plus 4.4, this is your 7 lakh crore which is pending loan amount which needs to come. Now this tells you, thank you boys. Okay. So now you only tell me 7 lakh crore of outstanding loans. So finance secretary is right. You need to have good underwriters, or good underwriting has to be done so that this number does not increase. So, and that is why responsible lending, he is cautious about what, when and how you lend, especially given the limited financial literacy and exposure to the borrower groups, because these people who are you are giving loans, they might not have that level of literacy, and you are continuously giving the loans or completing your target, but that's not helping. Focus should be on empowering the borrowers, providing adequate finance, what is needed, and most importantly, how is he planning to give back money, what is his plan. Then only it would be helping your case. Okay. So there's one more Yojana, Lakpati Didi Yojana for women empowerment. Lakpati Didi Yojana is a government initiative aimed at transforming SHG members to entrepreneurs, thereby helping women establish and grow their business. So again, schemes are good, but rather right now my focus is towards getting this 7 lakh crore of outstanding loan, the debt which is piling. It has made geopolitics rather news discussion. I did not, I hope that you are understanding it, right? Durgesh. What I'm trying to tell. Okay. So microfinance plays a critical role in financial inclusion, but reckless lending practices can undermine sector sustainability. Discuss the challenges faced by microfinance institution in India and suggest measures to promote responsible lending while ensuring financial empowerment for the underserved. So again, a very important question from the economics section. So from mains point of view. Okay, now going towards the last news for today from the articles. Stubble burning goes against right to live in pollution free space. So Supreme Court has come hard on the state government and central government. It says that when you are not able when you are not you're not able as to provide pollution free environment, it violates our Article 21, rather fundamental right to live in a pollution free environment, and under Article 21 of the Constitution it violates. Supreme Court over a period of time has been constantly saying that there has to be a solution to stubble burning. There are a lot of laws, but the sections have not been used. Punjab and Haryana state government have been lackadaisical. They have not been putting fines, and they again and again say specifically, you go in the last 3-4 years around the time of October, November when the stubble burning starts, Supreme Court again and again speaking against the state government and central government and asking them to take action. It has been happening for the last 3-4 years since the AQI at this point of time of Delhi starts going for 300. Yesterday it was 327. We are already in the stage 2 of GRAP. As the pollution increases, we will move to stage 3 and stage 4. Okay, so the bench criticized Punjab and Haryana government for adopting. I'm telling you, you read newspaper of 2023 same time, 2022 same time, you'll find only the words of these news are changing, but again the same story. What I'm telling you in 2025 also it will be getting repeated only until unless state governments of Haryana and Punjab take some important steps. So if coming back to this. So the court observed that the authorities failed to effectively implement existing laws, allowing blatant violation of citizens' rights. Center and National Capital Region states were urged to urge the issue and protect the right to pollution again. So Supreme Court only can say all these things, but until unless the executive agencies and the state governments take action, nothing will happen. Why they are not taking an action? The problem is that if they take action, the Haryana and the Punjab government against these farmers, the vote bank goes for a toss, and that is why this same Delhi government before the elections. So since I've been part of Delhi, so I've seen all these arguments. The Delhi government used to say when we'll go to Punjab, we'll change everything. Now they are in Punjab, but the situation is very similar. The stubble burning, which is also called parali jalana, or stubble burning is the English term. So in Hindi it is called like this. So parali is the word. So stubble burning over a period has come down, but it has not been completely wiped off. That's the problem, because burning the stubble is the cheapest way of doing it, because all other methods which the state governments talk about, they require a huge amount of money and investment which the local farmers don't have. Okay. So moving further into this, criticism of government efforts, specifically the penalty provision under Section 15 of the Environmental Protection Act 1986 had not been properly enforced, and this can be seen that Section 15 is not being used because the fines are very less. Supreme Court is again and asking why the fines are less, why are you not collecting it? Because Haryana and the Punjab government are not putting efforts to do it. Okay. So coming to this enforcement and compliance issue, the court noted inconsistency in enforcing panel provision, with Punjab identifying 1084 cases, but out of only 473 fines. And similarly, Haryana recorded 490 cases, but only 32 FIRs, and the fines are low. This also shows the lackadaisical attitude of the state governments. So government response and further response from the Commission for Air Quality Management, CAQM. So additional Solicitor General representing the Center and CAQM, which we studied in GRAP yesterday. This is the one which looks after the GRAP. So assured the court that the machinery for collecting fines, see again, this is again a very reactive approach. That's the problem of government in a country, very, very reactive approach. So the problem in reactive approach is that once you have a problem, then you find a solution. This should have been done proactively, because Supreme Court has been asking for this for a very long period of time. This is not the first time, right? Okay, so Solicitor General, who is the Solicitor General is the second highest law officer in the country after the Attorney General, and Attorney General is associated by Solicitor General of India and many additional Solicitor General of India. They advise the Union government and they advise the Union government and appear on behalf of Union government in Supreme Court and High Court also. Okay, so rest court is basically talking about court orders concerning these states. Vehicular pollution in Delhi, entry of heavy trucks into the capital, industry pollution. These are the areas the court is asking to that they look, and they've also asked that the center should give more funds to the Punjab government to fight stubble burning. Okay, so and then there is an amicus curiae also, Aparajita Singh, which is saying that there are 13 identified areas in Delhi where the pollution is very high, things are being burned. So 13 identified hotspots where garbage and waste were being burnt. Now for you, this is an important part. What is amicus curiae? So amicus curiae is also known as the friend of the court. Why it is called friend of the court? So it's a person or organization which is not directly associated with the courts, but the courts permits them to provide legal advice or recommendation. So in this case, amicus curiae is Aparajita Singh, person or organization that is not party to the legal case, but it's permitted to provide legal assistance and if some advice or recommendations are needed. Okay. So implication for public health, again air quality typically worsens. Now then question is Supreme Court ruled that the stubble burning violates the right to pollution free environment. Correct. Section 15 of Environmental 19 provides for penalties including imprisonment up to 5 years for violation. Punjab government has prosecuted. No, it has not prosecuted all. Okay, so 1 and 2 are correct statement. Then a question is there from environmental point of view and Supreme Court. Now this I had already covered in yesterday. What is GRAP? You can go through it. Now coming to the last part of the editorial, which is related to the shifting sands within global supply chain. So now this particular article talks about that there in the supply chains over a period of time when there was a time when you needed one country to come up. That stage was efficiency. China came out in peak of globalization and it was called just in time. China came out and the supply chains were increased. Then you got COVID, for disruptions like COVID. Resilience was there that just in case if China is not able to deliver, we need other countries also which can do manufacturing and supply chains needs to continue. Then the third stage we have reached right now is security. China pager attack. Now like what happened in the Israel pager attack against Hezbollah, which we have seen that in all these pager attacks and all these security issues which is coming is that if you compromise the supply chain, for example, if the pager was compromised from where pager is being built, then the entire supply chain can be compromised. An addition of artificial intelligence and drones will make it tougher. Now in case of China, when China does cyber warfare, cyber sabotage, or Russia does, now from the where the product is being made, the malicious because of their malicious intent, they can put malware, virus, and that entire product can be compromised. So this is what. So we have, as per this editorial, we had efficiency stage, we had resilience stage, and third we have come to security stage, where we need to be secured about what is happening. So just I've added the shift from efficiency to security. Key development, US and Israel action. The US has proposed rules to restrict Russia, Chinese connected vehicle technologies, level 3 automation and above. So because they are restricting, because they feel that these vehicles, they can, steal the confidential data of the Americans and people. So again, shift historical context, changing supply chain priorities. Earlier supply chains prioritized efficiency with China as a key hub. Rising US-China tension and the pandemic shifted the focus to resilience, that you need to have alternatives, and now towards security. So while security concerns have grown since bans on Chinese telecom firms like Huawei, who are doing a lot of espionage, and that is the same problem between Chinese and Russian based goods or vehicles. And India's balanced approach, so India can go with the approach called trust but verify, conduct periodic audits, on-site inspection, ensure compliance. Zero trust specifically to the critical infrastructure, military technologies. For critical technologies, assume all products are compromised. That is why there was a news when Indian Army said that if you are making a drone and it has Chinese parts, we would not be buying those drones. The rest, I've covered this editorial in a lot of detail. You can go through it. Diversification and friend-shoring. So friend-shoring is an important word. So friend-shoring is a strategic economic policy that you will not buy from one specific country, you will buy from various other countries, so that if you continuously are buying from one country, there are chances that they might put some virus, or that product might be compromised. So that involves moving production and supply chains to countries that are considered allies. So you diversify your product which you are buying. So again a question, evolving focus on supply chain security reflects the changing priorities in global trade dynamics. Discuss the factors that have led to shift from supply chain resilience to security and suggest strategies. Then the question is there. I've also given detailed analysis to it. You can go through it. Today our session went for a longer period of time, around, I think it's almost around 1 hour 20 minutes. That is why I wrapped it up fast in the last part. If you have any doubts, you can put in the comment section. I'll answer that. Okay. So all details regarding this are also given here. You can go through it. So in tidbits you have Union government integrates 12 schemes on e-Shram portal. What is the e-Shram portal? Union government e-Shram one-stop solution portal which aims to integrate information on welfare schemes meant for unorganized worker in effective manner on a single platform. So unorganized sector would also be there on e-Shram Petrol. So e-Shram one-stop solution portal, petrol, not petrol, portal. I'm sorry for that, which aims to integrate information welfare schemes meant for unorganized worker in an effective manner. So the extra mile, you can go through this. I think already we had covered a lot of news. Manipur crisis, the issue of managing diversity. So today the thought for the day is don't quit. Rather, if you would see these two words, you have the ability to do it. Okay. So with this, I end the session for today, and thank you very much. We'll meet in tomorrow's session. Take care and bye-bye.